Hello YouTube, Pastor Jack here, and welcome to my study and welcome to my channel. First things first with Pastor Jack, I'll ask you to do all the YouTube stuff. You know what to do there. Today we're on the second episode of the fourth C of the seven C's of history. And of course, the fourth C is confusion, and it's the story about the Tower of Babel. And we talked last week about Genesis 11, 1 through 9, and how that God confused the speech of the people, and that different families could understand, the families could understand each other, but the different families could not understand each other, and they got very scared, and because they couldn't communicate, and they all dispersed with their families. And this did what God wanted and got them to move across the world and populate the entire world. It also, set things up for the world that we have today. The different peoples groups, the different cultures, the things that make our world such a great place. I titled this video One Race because we for sure are. We all come from Noah and his sons. So, it's easy today to be divided. And I would challenge each of you. I know YouTube goes across the world, and in your country, wherever you're watching this, I don't know who the so-called enemy is for you, or who the so-called people that you don't care for. That most people groups have some kind of racism, where they feel they're better than another people group, or they are above a people group. But as Christians, we need to understand that we're all one race. We all come out of Noah's lineage. We all come out of Noah and his sons. Exactly where my family come out, I am not 100% sure. But there are ways of knowing now. There's DNA tests that you can take. There are books being written about the lineages coming out of Noah, and you can, matter of fact, I talk about them a lot, but back to Genesis, there's a gentleman there that wrote a book. I actually have a copy of it. I don't see it here right now, but it's not an easy read. The man is very knowledgeable, and he tried to write it for the common people, and it took me a while to get through it because I had to keep stopping and going back and rereading things to make sure I understood it. But basically, by the different error rates in the DNA, they can tell which lineage you come out of, and they have retraced groups, that we used to say maybe people in your country come out of a specific country. What they found out is some of that was not correct. It was just based off history and not off science. And very interesting book, and I'll try to put a link in the description on this video to that book, and hopefully you'll be able to read it. But basically what happened now is family groups moved across the world. Of course, inside the family group, there was a given span of DNAs, whereas Noah and his sons carried all the DNA that was needed. But as it got down to the place we're at now, 3 or 4 generations later, great-grandchildren or great-great-grandchildren, the DNA was getting more limited during each new generation. And so, there was a certain DNA carried with that family group to wherever they went. Different environments, caused some of that DNA to end, and just certain parts of the DNA survived and went on to create that what become a nation or become a culture. And a really good explanation. I like it. Dr. Ham for Back to Genesis, uses dogs and said there's long-haired dogs and short-haired dogs and medium-haired dogs, and as the ones moved north, the short-haired dogs died because they didn't have enough hair to live, and so all that was left there was the long-haired dog and maybe some medium-haired dogs. Whereas when the ones that went south, the long-haired dogs died, and so there wasn't any more long-haired dogs there. It was short-haired dogs and some medium-haired dogs. And so it got to where only kind of dogs was in the southern part was the short-haired dogs, and the only kind of dogs in the northern part was the long-haired dogs. That makes perfect sense to us. Well, DNA works the same way. The part of DNA that gives you your skin color. I have a grandson, it's red-haired and light-skinned. He loves to play golf, so he has to put on sunscreen all the time. Well, if he had moved to someone like him moved to an equator area where it's very hot, they wouldn't have made it long. They probably would have died out, and there wouldn't been anybody living there that had that super white skin and red hair. And it would have been more dark-skinned people and dark hair. And ones that moved to the north now with the white skin might have survived a lot better. But there were other traits that might have made the dark-skinned people not survive as well. So the cultures that we have now, and I think it's a beautiful thing, stem out of God's desire for us to, move around the earth and multiply and replenish the earth. And it come starting at the Tower of Babel, and it really made the differences after years and years and years of those people with that DNA living in that environment. It limited it down to even more and more and more. So I think the thing we need to take from this as Christians is that we're all brothers and sisters. Even though we might not look the same now from, 2,000 years, so say 3,500 years at, 40 years, so how many generations? We're talking thousands of generations living in that area. The DNA become more and more and more set on a certain specified things, and everybody got to looking more and more like everybody lived where they lived. And so it becomes a huge difference just on head size or tallness. Why people that live in Asia shorter? I don't know. It's got to do with the DNA and the DNA that was passed down from Noah and his sons down to the family group, the people group that ended up settling in what we call Asia now. That's what has transpired over the last 35 to 400 to 4,000 years. So it's not that one people group is better than the other. That's not the case. It is that we're different. And being different is not bad. And if any Christian tries to tell you that it is, then they're lying to you. That's not true. And I believe in the church there's no room for racism. I don't believe God wants that at all. And I believe that we should love our neighbors. We should do good to those that try to hurt us. And if we'll do those things, God will be pleased with us. We're one brotherhood. We're one brother. We're one race coming out of Noah and his sons. Keep the first things first, and I'll see you on the next video.